We do have 6 speakers here tonight, as I said. So we've got Andrew Bennett from Arkdefo, Mary Beth from ApparelXchange, India from Wild Hues, Carolyn from Fashion Revolution, Siobhan from ACS Clothing, and then we have Antoinette and Cassandra, who Antoinette's from Beira and Cassandra's from Zero Waste Design Online, and they're both from Sustainable Fashion Scotland as well. So we'll finish up with them.
I'm Mary Beth. I am Sales and Marketing Manager at ApparelXchange. We are a social enterprise that was founded 4 years ago by my colleague Izzy Erickson, who has been very active within circular economy and looking at zero waste for a long time. We were founded out of the recognition of the volume of school uniform that was passing through and missing an opportunity for reuse and recycling. And now we've sort of evolved quite rapidly in the last couple of years to include school uniform and casual wear for kids from 4 to up to 18 years. And we also do work with providing low cost or free clothing packages throughout the public and third sector. And we're always looking for like potentials for partnership and opportunities for furthering education around climate and fashion impact. So kind of just always email us with anything that you're thinking of, if especially if it's stuff to do with young people, and we're always up for it. So kind of going off of that, we've got some really exciting stuff coming up for COP. I'm going to, start a wee timer because I always go over. And we're trying to sort of hit every single aspect of our organisation. So the first thing that we've got going on, we're really excited to be working with an organisation called After the Pandemic. They've got a pavilion space that's going to be popping up on the Clyde side. And if you don't know about them already, then have a look at, they've got a short video on their site. It's a small collective of different creatives that are coming together to create very much like collaborative and free accessible space throughout COP. So we're going to have a panel event. We did this during Fashion Revolution Week, and it was really enjoyed and really appreciated by educators. So it's to show a number of resources that people can be using within primary schools and secondary schools to be talking about these subjects. So there's some fantastic resources that have been developed already by the team down south at Fashion Revolution HQ. We've also got some people, I think Roz is on this call, and she's just had huge success with her work to do with repair and integrating that into the curriculum. And there's other people doing really exciting stuff. So one of the points that the girls will pass on following this is that we are still open for people to be coming on board as part of the panel. So if you've got education resources that you're developing, please do get in touch with me. My contact stuff's at the end. So the next slide. Within the same space, we're talking to young people and getting access, which has been something that's been very much missed from our organisation throughout COVID and the turmoil that loads of the schools have faced. So getting back to that face-to-face engagement with young people has really been key for us, and it was really precious to what we are going to be doing during COP. So we've got like a proposal in progress to be talking to young people and also potentially be working with someone who can make that more hands-on, so that they're getting a wee bit of the conversation, a wee bit of the background about very much who made your clothes, and what's in your clothes and what are the climate impacts around that, but then they can really get stuck in, and we're hoping to incorporate our reuse clothing and some other local organisations that are working to pass on skills. And then on the next slide, one of our biggest events is going to be a fair fashion exhibition that I'm putting together in Stereo in Glasgow. So for those who've not been in that space, it's a vegan cafe bar up the stairs, and then they've got a big unit down the stairs, and we are going to take it over through a sort of late afternoon, early evening event. Really, another thing that was really important to me for COP was bringing people back together again. It's been a long time. There's been a lot of development in different spaces. People have been working really, really hard throughout this time, and being able to get together again, get a pint if you drink a pint, and just have a chat. I don't want to use the term networking, but I've put it on my slides. really sharing what it is that's going on here. And I want people that are based here in Glasgow, maybe delegates of COP, and those that are based further afield, to come to this and be blown away by what's really happening in the sustainable fashion movement here. So what I'm delighted with is that we've got a brilliant roster that really has a bit of everything. We're really limited in capacity, as kind of everywhere is at the moment, limited in space, limited in capacity, but my email inbox is open to other people who would maybe be interested in exhibiting. I can't promise that there'll be a space, but there's always an openness to, maybe if this is something that works really well and that people enjoy and that people really benefit from, there's no reason why this isn't something that can take part again in future. So please do reach out if you are engaging in sustainable fashion, if you would have something to present. We've got everything from education collectives, social enterprises, designers, upcyclers. We're going to just have like a really nice recipe of everything going on, and would be delighted if people come along to that. And the next slide is our in-store event, and I'm just going to really quickly touch on this. We are developing our own education resources for primary and secondary. They're going to be really creative based, and we're excited to be trialling these out with a few different classes that we've already got partnerships with the schools, and we will be so happy that some of the kids' posters and portfolio work is going to be up in the shop for the 2-week period over COP, so that families can come in and be dead proud of what the kids have been working on, but also so that more people can come in and engage with what the young people are saying and what they're wanting to happen with future. And that's all of us from Apparel. The next slide is just my email. If you want to take a note down, I'll also pop it in the chat. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited to hear about everything else that's going to be happening.
I am a textile artist, so I work with natural dyes. I have a studio in the space, which is in the Beira in the East End. And I was introduced to Jack when I was just in the studio one day. Jack works for Glasgow Community Food Network, and they had a bit of funding to do something for COP26 surrounding kind of climate justice, use of food waste, a whole bunch of different topics. And Jack was approaching different artists in the space to do a project together. And I immediately was like, I've got an idea, let's do this thing. And that's kind of how it all started. I had read an amazing book by Claire Hunter called Threads of Life, and really got enthusiastic about the idea of making community banners, community textiles, community quilts. I had this idea of like a protest banner that we could take to the COP26 protest. I don't know, all these kind of ideas. And then because I'm a natural dyer, I knew about using onion skins as a dye source and also avocado skins. So we kind of came up with this plan, which is now full steam ahead. So we are now working we're doing 4 workshops in October in 4 different venues around Glasgow, and each one we're working with kind of local organisations. We're working often with the venue. So for instance, with Kinning Park Complex, we're doing the workshop kind of in collaboration with them, and they're kind of inviting people for us. So it's not necessarily an open call for that, but the workshops that we're doing, we're inviting people to join us to make these banners which represent relationships to land. That's the kind of theme of it. So we're collecting onion skins and avocado skins from different community kitchens around Glasgow. At the moment, we're getting a lot of onion skins from Soul Food Sisters, who are also collaborating with us on the project. And they use a lot of onions, so that's been great. And then we're going to use textile waste, so kind of use white cotton sheets. Maybe someone could help me source those. We were just going to go and look at charity shops. So I will then prepare the cloth for dyeing. You can't just dye it with onion skin straight away. It's a process that I'll go through, cleaning them and everything, and kind of chopping them into these little squares, which are about 25 centimetres by 25 centimetres. Then at each workshop, there's going to be about 6 participants in each session, and they'll be asked to dye a piece of cloth in the dye vat with the onion skins or the avocado skins, and kind of take part in that, and we'll explain the process. And then I'll pass over to Jack and Jack's colleague Jenny from Glasgow Community Food Network, who will discuss relationships to land, and we're going to have a discussion together talking about textile waste, obviously that's my side of things, and food waste and where they originate, and talking about harvest a bit, because I think it's something in textile that we don't really talk about, like the plants that things are harvested from, which is obviously my speciality as a natural dyer. So that's the kind of conversation that we want to have, talk about where everything's coming from. And then we're going to use iron modifiers, which is a little bit technical. I don't want to go into it properly, but basically you use a rusty nail, so like a nail in vinegar, makes a solution which when you paint it on the cloth, it shifts the color of the cloth. It reacts with the tannin in the dye. So what you can see on the screen where I've written onion skins, that's written with an iron modifier, and it works like invisible ink, where you sort of paint it on and it just looks kind of wet, and then it slowly kind of goes darker and it goes almost black, depending on the amount of tannin that we've used. So people will be invited to paint onto a square their message. And well, I'll show you some pictures. So we've done there we go. So that was the first one. That's avocado skins, which makes this really lovely pink color. And that was me kind of like testing out the process, doing some squiggles. And then we did a sort of pilot workshop last week with a women's group through Urban Roots, which was great, just to test it out and see how they responded. Obviously they loved it because they're women in the woods. They talk about relationships to land all the time, so maybe it was too positive a response. I don't know whether other people will be quite as enthusiastic about the idea, but that's us doing onion skin dyeing outside in a big vat. And then this was them like painting their ideas onto the squares with, so that's the iron modifier, and you can see it kind of just looks like black paint. And then I've just started piecing together this first kind of sample banner, and you can see all the different things that people were writing. It was really interesting to see people's different responses to it. Everyone was very positive as well. We didn't want it to be very like doom and gloom, and more like uplifting about celebrating relationships to land. So there's going to be a board around it. It's going to be a proper quilt and with a backing and everything, but I haven't done that yet just because I've been busy. But that's the way it is. I just took a picture for you guys to see. So there's going to be 4 of these. We're going to make one for each workshop. So for every different location where we have a workshop, we will create a banner which will be kind of specific to that group. So these are we're also working with After the Pandemic, but that's actually not my side of things. Jack's kind of doing that for me, so I don't know a huge amount about it. But I've just put a little arrow to where it is, because I know it's on this disused site down in Anderson, where I've written COP26 fringe with an arrow. So that's where we're going to be exhibiting it. It seems like lots of other people here might also be there, so that's really exciting. So we'll be exhibiting 4 banners and inviting everyone who participated in the workshops to come along at the end. We're going to have a meal together, hopefully, and celebrate what we've done. And then at the end, the banners are all hopefully going to be returned to the community groups who created them. So we'll offer them back to Kinning Park Complex Salford Sisters and see if they want to put them on their walls, or if not, find local community groups in those areas who want to kind of, the banners will be sort of gifted back to them. So if anyone's interested in coming to these workshops, the ones at CCA and the ones at Kinning Park Complex are going to be invite only, and we're going to invite people who, so it's not CCA, but it's Glasgow Central West Integration Network and Kinning Park Complex both have people that they support in the community already who might be on using food banks and that kind of thing. So they're going to be invited first, and if they don't want to come, then we'll open up to the public. But basically, we're trying to make it as kind of like, we're trying to elevate the voices of the people who won't necessarily already know about COP26 or won't necessarily already be going. And then the other two, the Pollock Shields Bowling Green and Soul Food Sisters, will be open to everybody. And I put my email address at the bottom. No, I haven't. I've put my website and my Instagram. So if anyone's interested in finding out more about it, contact me, and I'll be posting stuff on my social media closer to the time. That's me done. I hope that wasn't too long.
So I am Carolyn, and I am the producer for the Fashion Open Studio COP26 physical activation. So this is a project in partnership with the British Council. So most of you, or some of you might know, Fashion Open Studio is part of Fashion Revolution. It's their showcasing initiative, and it highlights emerging and established designers who are pioneering sustainable and ethical processes in their work. So for COP26, sorry, I should say it's not the most interesting slideshow, it's quite wordy, not many pictures. But for COP26, they asked 9 designers from all around the world to open up their studios and showcase their creative responses to COP's themes of adaptation and resilience to nature. So these will be a series of online events. I think there's 10 in total. So starting the 25th of September, there will be roughly 1 a week in the lead up to COP, and then I think 2 during the actual kind of week and a bit of COP. Yeah, so these are online events, and they'll take the form of open studios, kind of studio tours, workshops, mini documentaries, that kind of thing. And it will be accompanied by a physical activation during the weekend of COP, so that's the 5th to the 7th, Friday 5th to 7th, Sunday the 7th of November, and that will be in Glasgow itself. So the project is a travelling installation, and it'll host pop-up open studios in different spaces within Glasgow. And this installation links back to the series of digital open studio events by showcasing each of the designers' processes in turn. So there will be things like visible mending, patchworking processes, and I think one of them's got a storytelling aspect as well. So this concept was developed around the idea of human billboards, kind of Victorian banner ladies, one-man bands, that kind of thing. So you can see some of the images from the initial mood boards to get a better idea of what it'll actually look like. It's in the process of being designed at the moment, so I can't show you any proper images, but yeah, it should be maybe a few weeks until that's kind of finalised. So yeah, it's going to travel across Glasgow, be worn by a performer, and it'll stop in different locations along a kind of set route to interact with the public for about 2 hours at a time. And it'll have triggers attached to it in some form, so they're going to be kind of like QR codes, so the public can scan the QR code and it'll be linked up to these virtual open studio events. And the locations and times are to be finalised, but some of the ones that are finalised, I've seen a few faces here tonight that have kindly lent their space and their time. Regine Denham, Print Clan, Bond Textiles, ApparelXchange, Mary Beth as well. So that's just a few, there's quite a lot still to be confirmed. This is the full event programme. I think this is finalised, but I would just check the Fashion Open Studio Instagram and website just to be sure. And yeah, this is all online. You can get involved if you'd like to by obviously attending the online events. Again, just check the website. You can sign up at fashionopenstudio.com by seeking out, finding the physical installation, come and saying hi. As I say, we'll be kind of roaming around the city, moving from place to place, and the installation will be adapting as it goes. So hopefully there'll be something different happening at each location. So you should try and find us as much as you can. Come on the journey with us if you want. We'll be going by foot, weather dependent, obviously. But yeah, as I say, there's loads more venues still to confirm. It's the likes of retail spaces, artist studios, community spaces. So it's a really good chance to kind of get out and explore places that you might not have been before, make some new connections. Also, we'll be looking for some volunteers. We're not 100% sure what the volunteering role will entail yet, but most likely directing members of the public to the installation. So maybe holding billboards out in the street, hopefully not in the rain, assisting the public to get the best from the installation by talking to them about the different processes, sharing any knowledge that you might have about them, and answering questions, that kind of thing. So for any more info, especially on the kind of volunteering aspect, you can contact me at fashionopenstudio@fashionrevolution.org. I'm working on this on Mondays only, so if I don't get back to you, please bear with me. And yeah, hope to see you there.
So it was really great to hear about everyone's plans. I'm so excited. My name is Siobhan. I work for ACS Clothing. We're a rental and re-commerce fulfillment centre just outside of Glasgow. And my role at the moment is focusing on our Sustainable Fashion Climate Festival. So it's basically a series of events that we're aiming to inspire, educate and empower young people to take direct action for the future of fashion. And this idea came about, I think I'm missing a slide here, but this idea came about, we're wanting to get sustainable fashion and young people more involved with COP26, which all of your guys' ideas tie in with really well. So I think it's great, like we're all working together to create like a collective bigger impact. Oh, there it is. I think I added another one in there, but that was the idea of it. So we're doing this through 4 phases. The first phase being awareness. So we're going to implement it in the schools with training with qualifications from Zero Waste Scotland, Glasgow Caledonian University and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's education material. And then phase 2, we're going on to events at ACS. So we're aiming to inspire young people across Scotland will be invited to attend. We're going to have 8 different conferences and they'll be invited to one. These are also going to be live for people that can't attend. We're having 60 people on each day, but we want to open it up to as many people through developing the young workforce live. So all the workshops throughout the day will be recorded to be able to view in classrooms. It's going to be hosted at ACS with a variation of interactive workshops to inspire attendees and challenge them to think outside the box. So these are some of the workshops that we planned. They'll get a sustainability tour of ACS. We'll be focusing on our sustainable practices. We have repair workshops planned, know your fabrics. Industry professionals will be getting in for Q&A sessions and speaking about career links and how they can get into these roles through universities and what courses they have available. And Sustainable Fashion Scotland are organising a Have Your Voice Heard kind of workshop where we'll do brainstorming and mind mapping to actually hear the young people's opinions. I should have said we've actually got quite a few people on the call tonight that are getting involved. So thank you everyone very much. It's very much a collective project and we're going to have upcycling demonstrations on there as well. Then phase 3 is the mindset shift. So this is going to be a big event that's going to be held at Glasgow Caledonian University on the final day of COP26, showcasing all the good work that's going on in Scotland already, and inspiring the young people to shift their mindset towards sustainable fashion. This will include catwalks. We've got an amazing, I think Anna might be on the call tonight from Comedy and Confidence. She's planning a rock opera type performance focused on sustainable fashion. And we're going to have live interviews, keynote speakers, films, exhibitions. These are all our ideas at the moment. So we've got the venue confirmed, but I'll move on if anyone's wanting to get involved. We're just finalising the timetable for that, so we're more than open to more ideas. It's basically going to work in the early afternoon. We're going to have younger school pupils, and then in the evening time we're going to have older young people around college, university age, but not specifically just those groups, and inviting other groups in as well. And then phase 4 is focusing on the legacy. So we don't want to just have the big event and say, that's it, great. We want to continue to embed all the good work that's gone on throughout COP26. And I think it's very similar to what everyone was saying earlier about the after the pandemic. I need to look into them, but just like keep going with the good work that's gone on throughout COP26, and continue to involve young people in the conversation as well. So I've just put my email here if anyone's wanting to get involved or to find out more. There's quite a lot going on, so I've kind of just whizzed through it, but if anyone wants to catch up on more specifically what's going on in each phase, that's my email there. If anyone has any questions, I'll pop it in the box.
I'm Andrew, I'm co-founder of Arkdefo. We're a Glasgow-based fashion brand and online teaching school. Predominantly, we work with denim. We collect denim in Glasgow. We've got a Donate Denim campaign. You can find us on Instagram and all the other grams and social medias. It gives us an opportunity to engage with the public, which is obviously great in terms of discussing behavioural change and moving towards circular economy. We also do online teaching, and that's a huge one for us because that gives us a chance to, we have online courses for adults and also for kids, and it's basically beginner kind of level, making your own clothes, and it's about slowing down fast fashion, it's about slowing down consumerism, consumption, and learning these skills that have kind of fallen through the cracks. So a lot of what we're looking to do for COP, it actually goes beyond COP, I think, like just been said. We are taking part in a fashion show, which is going to be getting filmed in September. It's Claybank, it's the old Singer sewing machine factory. It was meant to be the kind of backdrop, and it's about the regeneration of areas that are kind of left behind, the people who have kind of been left behind, and what you can do with these areas moving forward with the young people. So what we did in the summer is we took our courses idea and we taught some kids in the high school over the summer a kind of student-led design, creative design thinking system. So it's not kind of like sewing, sitting at a sewing machine, usual stuff. It's more creative and it's more student-led. They designed what they wanted to make and we just facilitated that. And the engagement was amazing. And I think they're going to take part in the fashion show as well. And that's the legacy part of it, is that you use fashion to engage all aspects of you and your surroundings because it's creative and it crosses all platforms of the curriculum. We're also talking to DIYW in Glasgow, Young Enterprise Scotland, and all the ones that are getting mentioned because for the same reason, it's finding something that doesn't go into the curriculum as such in terms of marking it, but finding creative ways to engage and energize students to find a voice, to find their confidence. So that's what we're doing. The fashion show is filmed in September. It's been filmed by 55 North. It's going to be shown, I think, after the pandemic. Everyone's going to be down there with a big party. It's going to get shown there as well. We're hoping it's going to get live streamed around the world, but the documentary, the fashion show is sort of part of it. There's 8 designers from across Britain that are going to take part. It's all about sustainability, and it shows the past, the present being the fashion show, and then the kids being the future. So it's a kind of legacy project. And then going forward with our partners, Decame, Frill Factory and Beyonder, we're going to engage in these areas to find regenerative projects and ways to engage with the local community, talk about recycling in places that don't talk about recycling, talk about fashion pollution, all the shops you shouldn't buy in, all the usual stuff. So that's kind of what we're doing. And I guess COP is just a stepping stone in that process.
And how can people support you, Andrew?
Oh yeah, all that bit as well. Well, I guess I'll leave my details, but what we're looking for at the moment is a lot of the stuff is kind of people have been helping out. So we're looking for models at the moment. Like, so if anyone knows like professional models that I could get in touch with, that would be great. Shoes, there's somebody on with shoes, but possibly apparel, maybe with, there's some kids models required for one of the designers. There'll be some teams models, so maybe some shoes and some sort of trouser type things. There could be some hookups there. But generally, the PR, I think, starts next week. Janome are on board. Almost, it's just really a bit of visibility and a bit of anyone who's got any creative skills or who wants to materials, I don't know, anything, just give us a shout. And my email is info@arkdefo.com, and I'll leave it in the bottom before the lights go out.
It is so exciting to share this with everybody. We have this collaboration between myself, so it's Beira, there's Sustainable Fashion Scotland and Zero Waste Design Online, which is Cass. I don't know if you want to say hello, Cass.
Yes, hello everyone. Yeah, we've got Milan Logilo and Danielle Elson are also on the call from Zero Waste Design Online. And just to tell you a little bit about us, we are an international collective that develops online educational resources in the field of zero waste design and systems thinking for fashion. And we seek to transform the industry through education, community collaboration, and open dialogue around garment construction, pattern cutting, design methods, and innovative use of technology. So that's kind of in a brief little bit what we do. But I just want to add it in before Antoinette kind of gets started. Just what's really great about this project is that it is a collaboration of people who have met through SFS. And I think that just kind of shows the power of what SFS is doing and networking, connecting people. And yeah, it's really great. So well done, SFS. But I'm going to pass over to Antoinette, who's going to cover the presentation tonight.
Yeah, so yeah, we're going to be actually officially at COP26. Well, we say officially, with 98% sure that's going to happen. It's still very difficult dealing with the kind of project team that's finishing up. We are not only just going to be there, we are going to be there at the Blue Zone, where it's VIP only, and we have made that out of thousands of entries. So we're absolutely delighted and feeling very humbled that we've got that far. So the title of the project is called Generation of Waste, this idea of the killer from the catwalk. And actually every speaker here tonight has talked about waste in one way or another, and it shows how it sort of pulls that all together. And it's really looking at waste from a macro holistic level globally, and looking at that problem from a very innovative means of doing that. So I'm just going to hopefully be able to change this slide. Oh, there we go. The project's really based on a concept that I'm personally very passionate about, and it's become a huge part of my life through my work with Beira and previously through my academic work, and that's namely waste, and waste specifically from the luxury fashion industry. And I'm sure everyone on this call is aware of the impact of the hyper-normalization of fast fashion that is technically killing our planet and leading us to a story of total disaster. And this is a result of the huge increase in the global fibre and garment production that, as you can see here on the slide, the pre-consumer phase accounts for approximately 57 billion tonnes of waste. And at that, secondly, the post-consumer waste, obviously, we're all aware of how the alarming rate of which consumers are disposing of their garments, and they're going to landfill or they're becoming incinerated. And that equates to about 92 million tonnes of waste. So part of my research that I've been looking for the past 5 years is looking at the waste at the stages of the textile value chain. And so the Generation of Waste team took this idea of textile waste value chain, and we came up with this idea of creating a very simple but powerful means of communicating that in a language that heads of state and those that are making the big decisions would relate to. Essentially, we're going to be creating a huge bar chart. Oh, sorry. And here you can see the fabulous graphic from Danielle over at the team at Zero Waste Design Online, showing our 8-foot high pillars, which are showing the killer fashion waste. and it's showing the waste that is generated at every stage of the pre-consumer process, so and the post-consumer. So 1 to 6 is showing the pre-consumer, and 7 and 8 are showing the post-consumer. The concept, we can see a little bit closer up, on each of the pillars, which will be made sustainably. We've got a few good ideas of how that's going to happen. We'll have the title, they'll have stats showing the waste generated, we'll have a screen playing various videos, and also have brilliant solutions that are related to that stage in the value chain, and looking at from a business corporate level, but things that are amazing, things that are happening within the industry at larger scale. We're also, the viewer will be able to see the waste, not just see the waste, but also see brilliant possible solutions. The aim is also to include voices from across the globe, so not just focusing on Scotland or the global north. It's really something that will showcase a world view of it as well. The current status, it has been a long process. I know that writing is very small, apologies, but it's been a long process, but we really are super excited to be at COP. Although we're not actually allowed to be there, we don't even get to go. We just get to raise a lot of money, put it together, and let the leaders of states see that, and all the delegates. We are currently, this is where we've been. We put the application in March. May got told we were shortlisted, and then just only a few weeks ago, we've basically been told we are confirmed. Although it's not, we're still waiting for the 100% confirmation, which is in the next couple of weeks. But we are going through tender process to have the exhibit made. We are also in the stage of seeking sponsorship. So if you know of any sponsors, please get in touch with us. It is very, very costly, as you can see by some of the figures here. We're also thinking about the legacy of this project. So it's not just something that's going to be up, and seen by just the world leaders. We want this to be something that's seen by the general public. And we're looking at a tour afterwards, which we're also in talks with funding for as well. And hopefully putting that into museums, putting it into universities, etc. We're already speaking to a few of those. But again, if you have any contacts with any of those places you think it'd be a great exhibit to go into, we'll love to hear from you too. So finally, and most importantly for this call, we want to share with you how you can get involved with the generation of waste. There's kind of 3 main ways to get involved with us. The first is to donate to your fashion waste. We want the waste. We're going to be collecting waste for each of the pillars. So we need from kind of the raw materials all the way through, or design all the way through, paper, raw materials, fabric spill, end of rolls, all representing the waste at each stage of the process. And we've got lots of ideas of how that's going to be repurposed afterwards. So don't worry, nothing from this is going to landfill. That's one of our absolute musts for this project. Secondly, we'd love you to share content. So if you've got any examples of amazing companies, corporations, groups doing incredible things in the world of fashion waste and circular economy, please let us know. We want to be including amazing examples from around the world that show things that can happen at scale, in particular, given that for COP, given who we're speaking to at that point. And thirdly, it's about creating content. So fashion community, we are looking for creative volunteers to create waste from the insert. So it's putting it all together and creating that. We'll be sending out more information, I'm sure, on SFS about that, and getting involved with different community groups to help with that. And the other one is Sustainable Fashion Scotland has its own pillar as part of it. So one of the pillars is going to be pillar 7, which is about the use. We are asking you as consumers to tell us about your favourite item of clothing and why you love it so much. We were hoping that people share that on social media using our hashtag Generation of Waste. And we're going to be uploading those live throughout the COP. So I'm just love the idea that Joe Biden and Angela Merkel might be reading about, why Mary's favourite t-shirt is that particular t-shirt, so all this idea of actually showing the value in the clothing that we have and showing emotion that's linked to that. So we are so excited about being there. We will make it happen one way or the other, won't we, ladies? But it's a huge undertaking. But please do get in touch with SFS or myself if you can help out in any way. But also make sure you get involved with the hashtag Generation of Waste and tell us about your clothing once we launch it all.